Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over NVIDIA stock. Let's go over what is happening with the stock, what we can expect moving forward, and all of that good stuff. So as usual, if you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice and I'm not a financial advisor. And of course, my membership section on YouTube is live. That link is down below. If you're interested, for just $3 a month, you get access to all my intraday thoughts, post updates on Tesla actually, and other stocks as well. Like I've been updating Google, Microsoft, Oxy as well. Or for $5, you get access to all of that, plus NVIDIA daily updates as well. Link is below for that YouTube membership. If you're interested, would love to have you there. But jumping into it, NVIDIA closing the day up about 1.68%, closing at pretty much $125 per share, with a slight underperformance compared to the market, with QQQ, for instance, up 1.2%, so almost the same as NVIDIA, and AMD, for instance, up a whopping 5%. So a little bit of an underperformance from NVIDIA today, especially throughout most of the day, as it did actually dip back down all the way to 122. So, there was a little bit of indecision there, and we actually closed with the Dragonfly Doji candle, which I'll talk about really soon, which obviously is this candle right here, right? Which shows a lot of buying pressure, obviously, but it actually signals indecision here. So, and it's happening at a pretty interesting point because we're pretty much dead smack center right inside this weekly or daily trend line, really. But there are some good signs here. So there are definitely some good signs for NVIDIA here. It needs a little bit more follow through, and I think this stock can actually finally start really making its way northwards. So let's talk about that. So NVIDIA, let's talk about the actual candlesticks themselves first, right? So we ended up closing a Dragonfly Doji candlestick, right? Which usually in a downtrend, which we're not really in right now, short term, medium term, I guess. We're technically in a short-term uptrend, obviously, right? So it usually means bullish reversal during a decline. Otherwise, it's indecision. So reversal 50% of the time. So essentially what this shows right now is the fact that the stock almost feels like it doesn't know where it wants to go. And it just, of all the places for this to happen, right inside that trend line resistance is pretty comical, to be completely honest with you. So that's pretty interesting to note. So really what NVIDIA needs to do to really see a bit more follow through and potentially start really making its way back up to about 130 as the next main target, with the one after that being about 135, followed by pretty much 140, $5 increments, conveniently enough, is it needs to break out of this downward trend and actually start closing a daily candle above, to be safe, honestly, 126. What I'd want to see is I want to see a daily candle close above 126, somewhere around here to start, and then come back down and then start showing me that this area is now a support, right? I want to see this trend line turn back into a support as opposed to what it has been, a resistance many times, right? That's what I want to see. And if I can see that, and that's the information that the stock is starting to show me, that would be very bullish. And I think NVIDIA absolutely will start getting ready over the next few days to start making its way back up to, at the least, in my opinion, 130. That's what I personally foresee happening. And the good news is the fact that also NVIDIA, its indicators are starting to flip back to being actually kind of bullish again, which is really nice to see after what was pretty much, in my opinion, a bit of a false flag down here with that 21 EMA that it closed below, which could have been definitely a massive bear trap, right? Again, it is what it is, right? Nothing is perfect and no indicators will ever be perfect. You'll get false signals. That's just how things work. It's just part of the game. You're not going to be always perfect. And if anything, I actually still made money off of it. I had those cash trigger puts, pretty much made essentially free money off of those because they have officially expired today, which is a nice thing to see. Nothing crazy, of course, but hey, any amount counts. So going over to the R side is obviously getting into a little bit of overbought territory, so we'll see how that reacts. But the stochastic is officially crossing back to being bullish. The true strength indicator back on a bullish crossover, and the BX trender also showing a nice higher low once again, right? So a bit of a bear trap, to be completely honest, recently with the past what is this day? This was about a Tuesday, right? Bit of a bear trap there, to be completely honest, but it is what it is, right? And now it's looking like it wants to finally break out. Now, there's still a question of, will it actually break out? Maybe it just gaps down Monday morning, right? And then we have an issue once again, because it'll probably start turning this 124, 125, 126 region into resistance once again and make its way lower, right? There is still that risk, which is why, it's not out of the woodworks just yet, because this can still happen like this as it gets kind of tighter and tighter like this, right? That is still a real possibility. So keep that in mind. It's not out of the woodworks just yet. I wouldn't say NVIDIA is just completely and utterly bullish just yet, but it's looking like it wants to turn bullish. It's just, I personally need to see a bit more confirmation, and I told you what confirmation that is. I want to see it break out and come back down and essentially turn this trend line that it's obviously, like I said many times before, has several times rejection, into now a support. If I can see that, very bullish. And as usual, I'll keep you updated, especially my members. My members will get it first. Of course, they'll get it live throughout the day. That's, as it's trading. But in these videos, of course, post-market, I'll also let you know if I see that happening and if I'm feeling like, you know what, I think it's finally time for this stock to finally make its way up and, you know, finish this consolidation phase. But in my opinion, I wouldn't say it's out of the woodworks just yet. A little bit more confirmation is needed to really, really get the move going, to really get that confidence, in my opinion. Just my opinion, though. Again, you know, you do what you will with your own money and your own trades. I'm here just to hopefully give you my personal insight, and hopefully that helps you in some way or another. Yeah, in terms of options flow on Black Box, it is the most confirmed options flow, a bullish options flow for NVIDIA, 26 million. Nothing crazy, but nonetheless, I mean, better than being bearish, obviously. And in terms of individual flow for NVIDIA, as usual, like I always say, the bulls are very aggressive on NVIDIA, man. They're very bullish, but you had a 1 million above the ask put come in here at 124, which isn't too much higher than where it is right now. That is expiring in about 2 weeks, right? Not next week, the week after, for October. So clearly this whale over here that put in a 1.1 million and a 1.2 million over here for next week, clearly they're not buying this rally, right? They're not buying this rally. They're saying, you know what? I don't buy this rally. This rally is a fake and is coming back down. At least that's what it seems like they're saying. So we'll see if they're true, because again, they actually might be still right. It's still not, you know, like I said, it's still not out of the woodworks yet. There is still more work to be done by the bulls in order for this stock to finally really get that momentum back upwards, right? So really just want to be looking at that. In terms of the weekly candles, you can see the weekly candles pretty much saying the very similar story, right? Where, you know, ever since all-time highs and we started this downtrend setting lower highs, it's getting rejected at pretty much the exact same position. Now, this is the first candle that's actually closed within the trend, which is a nice sign to see. At least that's something. But unfortunately, it's not enough to go off of, in my opinion, just yet. So NVIDIA can still see a bit more downward pressure, in my opinion. But as long as it doesn't go too much lower, and honestly, as long as it holds, in my opinion, 123 ideally, but as long as it doesn't break this red line right here, right? This red line right here is pretty much that new kind of uptrend, right? That new support. So technically, NVIDIA can actually curl back down and throughout next week and actually potentially coming down to about 117, 118 again. Like that actually unironically is a bit of a possibility, which is about a 6% move from here, right? That is a possibility, unfortunately. But as long as this red line holds, and doesn't, you know, break down below it, NVIDIA is still setting up pretty decently, because on the weekly, it is actually looking pretty okay on the weekly, because, you know, the MACD can use some more work. It is still cross bearish, but the RSI is looking pretty all right. Stochastic is looking all right. The BX trend is looking pretty fine, and the true strength indicator is also crossing bullish on the weekly time frame. So the weekly is actually setting up to be pretty decent. I think the question right now is on the daily and like that shorter time frame within, let's say, the next even week or two. Do we get one more move back down to about 117, or maybe even worst case scenario, all the way back down to 107 to 110? Or do we just break out of this, break 125 to 126, turn it back into a support and make our way higher? I think that's the main question you should be asking yourself right now. And I think we'll probably get a more clear picture, hopefully next week, as we finally hopefully pick a direction and get out of this consolidation of making essentially lower highs, higher lows. That's the main thing I'm looking at. But if you're someone that's extremely safe, right? This is what I would say. If you're someone that's very safe, if you're someone that's extremely safe and you want to enter at like the most safest way possible, and you're okay potentially missing out on a rally, you know, just for the sake of having that extra safety to enter like what could be just the most optimal entry possible. In my opinion, the most optimal entry possible would be for NVIDIA to break the recent high at about almost 128, which was this candle back on September 26th. Because if you break that, you officially end this lower highs situation that we've been finding ourselves in. You officially break that, you make your way higher, maybe even to closer to 130, and then NVIDIA rejects, and then it comes back down to retest this range that it, trend line rather, that it has been getting rejected at. And then it turns into support, and then it makes it go up even higher. Kind of like what Tesla's doing, I guess you can say, actually, on the weekly time frame as well, for its multi-year trend line, right? This is exactly what Tesla has been doing so far, where, you know, Tesla, constant rejection, right? Think of this yellow line right here on NVIDIA, right? The same idea, same concept, just on a much larger time scale, of course. But same idea with Tesla, how it finally closed above it. This weekly candle on Tesla would essentially be NVIDIA moving to 130, for instance, and then it comes back down to curl back down to retest that trend line it broke out of, hopefully successfully. In this case for Tesla, it actually is, just to make its way higher. That's kind of the idea that you could see on NVIDIA as well. Breaks out, moves to 130, rejects, comes back down. It's set a fresh higher high now relative to the one back here on September 26th. Comes back down to about, in this case, because it is a descending trend line, would probably be somewhere closer to 123s to 124s. Turns into support, which would line up with this horizontal 123 resistance. And so far, if that holds, that'll be perfect. And I think it'll go up even higher after that. Anyways, that's a long story of explaining what could be just a very safe way to look at NVIDIA moving forward. So all in all, that's kind of what I'm seeing moving forward. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think down below. Thank you so much for watching. See you for the next one. Peace.